podcast engineer here. I'm excited to bring you another episode of our World of Pets. Debbie Hayes. So this is going to be a fun show with a great guest. This will be all about our furry friends, a little bit of a animal house. So fun here. So I'm going to pass it over to over here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central. If you'd like to join us, let us know. Get that arranged. But I'm going to pass it over to Debbie here to kick this off.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming in.
Hello. Thank you. I'm Debbie Hayes, and I'm with debspets.com. And thank you for coming this evening. We want our fur babies, all of them, or even our unusual that maybe aren't really fur babies, to feel safe with us. We want them to feel our unconditional love just like they have unconditional love for us. We want them to live a long life, but we want that to be a good life. And the three of us here, Dyanah, David, and I feel that we found something that can facilitate that. So Dyanah is a national vice president with Pet Club 247. Deb's Pets, which is my branding name. And she's going to tell us today what we can do to keep our pets safe when we travel with them. So we also have with us today my co-host, David Wolfram. And he and I have known each other for quite some time, and he's a great podcaster also. So we're going to turn it over to Dyanah, and David and I will be breaking in a little bit to ask questions for clarification and expansion while we go here. So Dyanah, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you, David and Debbie, for the platform. I totally love that intro. You know, these fur babies deserve quality of life, and they deserve everything that we can possibly give them. And it's important to all of us, but I appreciate the platform. And I did this talk a year ago not a year ago, 6 months ago. Sorry, I don't know where my head's at. I'm going to show you a picture. I did this talk at a truck camping rally, and it went over so well. I've had so many people who have asked me to come back in and to do, another podcast on it. So I'm excited to be here, but I'm trying to get to a picture because it'll kind of explain exactly the impact that something like this can have. We were out in the desert, and we were talking to about 700 people, about 500 animals, cats, dogs, monkeys, parrots, ferrets, lizards, iguanas, you name it, they were there. And the subject was traveling with our animals. And right now we're going into the time when everybody's traveling with their pet. And there's so many things that we don't think about until it becomes a problem. So I'm going to go through some things that we've learned, some things that we've seen, and, understanding that when you travel with a pet, there's three things that are really important. The first thing is safety. Make sure that animal is safe, and we're going to talk about it. The second thing is make sure they're healthy. And then the third thing is make sure they're happy and comfortable. And unfortunately, we tend to put the happy and comfortable first before the safety and health. And we really got to really think about that, because it is our job. It's our obligation to keep these babies safe. So the first thing I'm going to say is every animal needs a go bag. Okay, every animal has to have a go bag. So I'm going to go through what's in my little Cody's go bag. Cody is a 20-pound hot mess of a pup. And we take him with us everywhere we go. We're in an RV, but he has a go bag. So on the outside of his go bag, I have a little food water bowl, which expands. So in case I need to give him fresh water, I have something that I can open up and he can use that as a little bowl. I also have a poop bag for his poop bags. I have a muzzle because you never know the situation you might get in and you need to put a muzzle on your dog. I know that sounds like, oh, I would never need to muzzle my dog, but you don't know. So a muzzle is really important. And then inside of the bag, I have all of his medical records. I have his rabies certificate, which I don't really believe in the rabies shot totally. So I do a titer test with my dog. And let's start going through some of the things in his little bag, because there's some really cool things. I have 2 different kinds of booties. 2 different kinds of dog boots. Hot pavement right now is a big issue. We have a little chart here that if the asphalt is 87 degrees, it's really, if the air temperature is 87, the asphalt's 143. I'm going to get killed someday because I will stop people on the street that are walking their dogs when it's 120, and I'll say, hey, take your shoes off and walk, because it's horrible. People just don't think. Go ahead, Deb.
So this is something I've been thinking of because my brother walks my dog for me, but he goes early in the morning. So it is Arizona. It does get hot quite early, but the sun hasn't had a chance to heat up the asphalt. Am I correct or incorrect?
You're 100% correct. The rule of thumb is kick off your shoes, put your feet down, hold it for 5 seconds. If it's not uncomfortable, you're okay. If you don't want to kick off your shoes, put your hand on the pavement, feel it. If you can hold it there for a couple minutes, you're okay. Because you're right. Even though the ambient temperature is high, the sun hasn't had a chance, but that concrete holds that heat. So you definitely do want to do the touch test. I have found that these booties are amazing. However, some dogs won't keep them on. They kick them off. I mean, it's a show in itself just to watch the dog with the booties on sometimes. But what I have found, and I'm actually keeping these in my car now, and when I see somebody with a dog, baby socks. You can buy baby socks at the 99-cent store. They will stay on better than nothing. You can twist and tie them on. You can rubber band them on. Just don't get too tight. But a baby sock is better than nothing. And if I see somebody walking a dog on hot pavement, I'm gonna run out there and I'm gonna go, here, take these, put these on your poor dog's feet. So that's in Cody's go bag. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask. I wanted to back you up to your first point was, about their shot records and all of that stuff. I've run into a situation recently where that was actually real important to have on hand, because there were 2 dogs in an altercation, and everything turned out fine. But explain why it's important to have your dog's shot records on hand.
You just gave a perfect example. If there's an altercation and let's say animal control gets involved, if you can't prove that your dog has what it needs, they're gonna impound that dog. They're gonna put that dog in quarantine. I know that if you travel in an RV, there's many RV parks that won't let you in. There are many hotels that won't let you in without being able to prove that your dog has had the proper shots. And like I said, rabies is controversial, but you can get a titer test, which is a blood test, which will say that your dog is protected. And that holds up in a lot of places. You can't fly with a dog without having a health certificate. So it doesn't hurt to get a health certificate for your dog every time you take it to the vet every year, have a new health certificate. But yeah, you never know when you're going to get in a situation where you have to have some kind of proof for your dog. So then what else is in my bag? Oh, I love this. This is one of my favorite things. It's in my go bag. This is a vest that goes under the dog, and it protects the dog when they're running through brush where there's burrs and there's things like hunting dogs. This is good for hunting dogs. But when we travel, sometimes we stop on the side of the road, we let our dog out, and they're in thicker, the little, they call them goat's hair, whatever they call those, get right in their skin, and they can really hurt. So having a little vest that goes on their belly is a good thing to have when you're traveling. Let's see what else. Ooh, a tick puller. A tick puller is a very important thing to have in your go bag. They're like $3 at Walmart or on Amazon. A great thing. You cannot pull a tick out properly without a tick puller. So a tick puller is a great thing to have. It's good for your person too. I also have food for Cody in my bag. I have a few days worth of food. There's a reason for that. let's say we get evacuated. I grab Cody's go bag. I have everything I need. If a dog's on medications, have your medications in the go bag. I also have a long leash in the go bag, and we're going to talk about leashes in a couple minutes. I also have, I have some little rain booties in here for him. I have some Benadryl in here, which is part of his med kit. In his med kit, I keep Benadryl. You never know when a dog's going to get bit by a snake. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that can happen. I also keep side cutters, which I can't seem to put my hands on right now. I keep side cutters in here and a little piece of wood. And why do I do that? Many, many times people on vacation, when we're traveling with dogs, they let them out by the water and the dog goes running, and the dog will like maybe find a little piece of fish or something and or a fish hook. And a fish hook can get into their mouth very quickly. Side cutters can help with that, but if it starts to go down his throat, you can take the twine, wrap it around a piece of wood, put the wood in his mouth until you can get him to the vet. I have seen dogs, their lives have been saved by that. Simple little thing like a little piece of wood and pair of side cutters. So
can you repeat that? That seems really important.
It is. So our dogs are going to scavenge, and they're going to run, and they're going to do things that they don't normally do when we're on vacation. And if you're going to a lake and the dog's not used to going to the lake, the dog's going to head right to the water. And sometimes there are remnants of fish or people who have fished, fishermen, fishing line. And we have seen dogs who have grabbed pieces of fish that have had a fish hook in them, and the fish hook has gotten stuck in their mouth. The side cutters can help get it out. But if it's gone down their throat, which happens a lot, you can just take the string, the fishing line, wrap it around a little piece of wood and put it in the dog's mouth till you get to the vet. So it keeps it from going down into the stomach and causing more problems. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of this happen. So that's kind of important. So the go bag.
So it keeps them from basically swallowing it is what you're doing is
you're like,
down. Okay, it's stuck. We got to get it out, but we're not going to pull on it. We're just going to keep it from going down.
Think about pulling on it, what damage you could do, right? So yeah, so those are little tiny things that I do in his go bag. When you're traveling with an animal and you're going to be at a place for more than a couple days, find out where the local emergency hospital is. The last thing you need to do is need a hospital and have to go looking for one. Just find out where the local emergency hospital is. Debbie?
Yes, I'm sorry, but going back to the go bag, I mean, everything looked it seemed pretty self-explanatory where you would get it, except for the orange vest. Where would you look for something like that?
I think I found this at Cabela's.
Okay.
Hunting stores. The hunting stores all have these. I think you could probably find them on, they're called brush vests. And I think you can find them probably on Amazon. But I think I got this at Cabela's or Dick's Sporting Goods or somewhere like that in the dog pet section, because hunting dogs experience this a lot, where they get a lot of the bristles and a lot of the bad things on their belly when they're running. So the other thing about traveling is know the local threats. Every place has a different threat. I learned something this year that blew my mind. Florida has a frog. And if a small dog sniffs the frog, it can kill it because it's poisonous. I had no idea. I saw this cute little frog. Yeah, go ahead.
You don't have those in Las Vegas?
No.
We have them in Arizona, and they always come out during monsoon season, right about this time. And you'll hear them chirping out in the yard sometime. People will find them in their pool. And yes, you're right. You don't want to touch them yourselves, because then if you touch the pet, it's not going to do horrible damage to you, but it can.
Yes, small dogs kill them like that. So again, know your local threats. Know what's out there. Keep in mind that every dog and cat, but animal, they have that fight or flight syndrome. When something gets really bad, they're going to run. And we think, oh, no, my dog wouldn't leave me. No, they will, because it's their instinct. So this is where I'm going to talk about leashes. Every animal should be on a leash. But let's say you're in a big field and you want your dog to run, or you're out in the middle of the desert and you want your dog to run. Put them on a 100-foot tether. Let them run. Let them run his heart out. But if you need to reel them back in, you can reel them back in. We had a dog in Nelson, Nevada, a 18-month-old doodle. Mama let it run. It was having a ball. They were watching, and a helicopter came out of nowhere and spooked the dog. The dog took off. A search party of hundreds of us for 4 days tried to find this baby. We think the coyotes found the baby because the dog just did what the dogs do. They run. So if she had the dog on a 100-foot tether, the dog could have still ran and played, and she could have pulled it back. It's also the time when they're in a different area that they're going to get themselves into trouble. Maybe they're going to chase a coyote. Maybe they're going to go after a snake. If you have them on a tether, you can pull them back. So again, it's really critical that you keep your dog tethered somewhat. The other thing is that if we're talking snakes right now, if your dog gets bit by a snake, a couple things are very important. You have Benadryl on hand. Try to get a picture of the snake if you possibly can. Don't endanger yourself, but if you possibly can get a picture of the snake, that's critical. At least try to get a description. How big is it? How thick is it? What color is it? Because when you get to the veterinarian, they know what snakes are indigenous. Sometimes you can even call them on the way. We had a situation here in Nevada where a girl called me screaming her dog had just gotten bit. All of the veterinarians were closed, but I knew the animal control warden, wonderful woman. I got her on the phone, and the girl said, so how long was the snake? Well, it was about 18 inches. How thick was it? About the size of your finger. What color was it? And then the warden said, I know what kind of snake it is. The dog's going to be fine. So they know what's indigenous. But had she not known that, she might have ended up spending a lot of money and running to an emergency clinic when it would have been necessary. So try to get a picture of the snake. And also make sure you know where that bite is, because a lot of times we see the snake has hit, but by the time we get to the hospital, we can't find the bite because of hair and whatnot. So make sure you know where that bite is. The other thing is evacuations. When you travel and you have your dog with you, you should always have a folding crate of some sort. My husband and I were in a fire 3 or 4 years ago and had to be evacuated to an evacuation center. They would not take a dog if a dog wasn't in the crate. They don't care how nice the dog was. So basically, we were lucky we had a crate. If we had not had a crate, that dog would not have been able to go into the evacuation center. So a little folding crate, they fold flat. They're not that big. Put them in the bottom of the trunk or wherever you can put things, and make sure that the dog is, that you have that ability to put a dog in a crate if you need to. So my biggest thing is tethering an animal. Animals need to be tethered or confined in the car. And I'm going to give you a little story. We had a woman with a dog on her lap on a pillow. They were driving. They got broadsided. The dog flew up. The airbag flew up, killed the dog, and broke the bones in the woman's face. If the dog had been tethered, if the dog had been in a crate or seat belted, which these seat belts are amazing. There's so many types of seat belts. That wouldn't have happened. We had another case where a car rolled 3 times and 3 dogs in the car, all the windows blew out. The dogs were ejected. 2 of the dogs were in a snow pile, just kind of wondering what happened to them, but the other dog took off down the highway. So here's the owner with a broken leg running down the highway after her dog, saying, I would have never thought my dog would have left me, but they will. It's the fight or flight. They will flight. They will run. So if the dogs had been tethered, they would not have been able to take off. So putting them in a crate or just having them confined by something like a seatbelt. There's so many great products. There's leashes that actually have a seatbelt buckle right on the leash. So you can keep the leash on them and just buckle it in the seatbelt. There's seatbelts that go around the headrest of a car so that they're easy to use. And these are amazing. My dog doesn't mind it. There's also tethers that go from hook to hook in the back seat that you can actually put a little run on it if your dog wants to move around a lot, but at least it's tethered. And I think that's really, yeah, go ahead.
So again, that's more of a specialty item, where would you find that?
As much as I hate to say it, everything's on Amazon. Just look under dog leashes, and they're inexpensive. I think they're like $6. They're not expensive, and it's just a great thing to have. ID, make sure your dog has some sort of an ID tag. Oh, my dog's microchipped. Oh, that's wonderful. But if somebody finds your dog and they don't have a microchip reader, until they get somewhere where there's a microchip reader, they're not going to know how to contact you.
Right.
So a little thing that you can buy at the pet store that has dog's name and phone number, that's it. That way they can call you and say, I have found your dog. So make sure there's some sort of visible identification on your dog. So
I want to just back you up for just a second, because what I do with Peyton, I used to just let him sit in his bed next to me and all that stuff. But there were a couple incidences where somebody cut me off and I had to hit my brakes and he'd hit the floorboard. So my solution to that was to get him his bag that I could carry on my strap. I could take him in the store, but I just hooked the bag over the passenger seat, and that solved the whole problem of his safety in my car. That's a simple solution for a small dog. Now, a little bit harder for a pit bull, but I like the idea of the running chain in the back.
Seatbelt. Yeah, I mean, the dog still has room to move around. The dog can still move around. But yeah, you're doing the right thing, David. And today I talked to a woman. It was just tragic. They were in a horrible, horrible car accident. They had 7 dogs in the car with them. Every dog was in a crate, which that blew my mind. One dog was killed in the accident. 5 of the dogs survived well, and then one dog had to have about $30,000 worth of surgery. The vet said that had they not been in the crates, that probably all of them would have died. So you kind of have to weigh the option. We want them to be comfortable. We want them to be happy. We want them to look out the window, which really isn't the best thing anyway, because all that wind and stuff is not good. Something can fly in their face, but we also have to think about our obligation to keep them safe. So once we get past all the safety stuff, now we got to talk about health when they're traveling. One of the worst things we can do when an animal is traveling is change its food and water. So if we're going to go visit the lake, or we're going to go somewhere for a week, changing the water is probably the worst thing that can happen for a dog, because the bacteria are different, and we're going to get diarrhea. We're going to have dehydration problems. So you want to make sure that you are taking some gallon jugs with you of water, or change the dog slowly over to a water that you can get there. Like if you're going to buy bottled water, or if you're going to go to the filtered water store, there's all those around. Start using that at your home for a couple weeks before you go, so that the dog's water doesn't change. Don't change its food. Take plenty of food with you. It's stressful enough for a dog to be traveling and leaving their home. Even if they're with their family, it's still stressful. That you want to make sure that you don't add to the problems by changing the food and adding different waters. I will tell you, one of the best things you can do before you take an animal on the trip is to get its immune system healthy. And with Pet Club 24/7 products and Deb's Pets, there's so many things you can use. You can use the super sauce to get their immune system modulated. You can use the mush puppies. You can take with you the mojos, which are liver, which is going to give it a lot of energy and protein, but also has the Coriellus versicolor mushroom. You want that immune system as healthy as it can be before you travel, because again, stress is a lot on an animal. If you think the animal is going to get car sick, we do have the CB doggies. They work wonders. We're going to soon have the wonderful little calming, dog calming tablets, which are herbs, and I'm excited about that because taking the dog down a notch before you travel is a good thing. I have a dog that gets motion sickness. If we go up and down hills or roundabouts, he throws up. But I have found that, you know, all of these wonderful little calming agents are good too. The other thing too is when you're traveling, make sure that you have flea spray with you, tick spray, that you examine your animal before you bring it back into the home or the apartment or the hotel, because most of our doggies sleep with us and we really don't need those in our bed. There are lots of critters in different areas that will get on your dog, and you want to just make sure that you examine the dog. There are some wonderful flea and tick natural sprays that are all oils and sprays that are all good for the dog. I have one that I use all the time, and I didn't have it with me here, but I also found it. I found it on Amazon. It's all natural citrus. It smells really good, and it repels the fleas and ticks and chiggers and all these other little things that we don't experience here where I live in Nevada. But when I take my dog on the East Coast, I have to be really careful about that. And then that brings you to heartworm. If you're going to take your dog to a place where mosquitoes are prevalent, you really need to think about either keeping it inside all the time or possibly putting it on some kind of a heartworm preventative. It's a really tough decision that you need to make with your veterinarian. But, you know, again, we said we want to keep them safe. We want to keep them healthy. Now let's talk about comfort. The best thing you can do when you're traveling with a dog is bring some dirty blankets and some dirty sheets and some dirty clothes. Don't launder them before you go. Put them in a bag. When you get where you're going, lay them out for the dog. The dog's olfactory is 500 times stronger than ours. And when they smell something that's familiar, their stress level goes down and they're like, I'm home. I'm good. Everything's fine. Don't wash the blankets before you take them. Grab a blanket that, you know, it's been being used. Grab some towels, grab some things like that and lay them down for the animals. And don't forget to bring some of their favorite fur babies. And again, you like your little toys. Don't wash them before you go because you want things to be familiar for your dog. That's what's going to keep them comfortable. And then, of course, bring their bed because they love their bed and it's a place for them to sleep. But traveling with our pets should be fun. It should be stress-free. When I travel with my dog, a couple weeks before we go, we switch him to the freeze-dried food. This little 1 pound bag makes 5 pounds of food. It's so nice to travel with. So then I can just hydrate the food with the water that I have brought and or some low sodium chicken broth and have them on a great diet that has Coreus versicolor mushrooms, so I'm giving their immune system some more support and have some mineral support too. Again, food and things that are good for them. Now, let's keep them busy. Let's keep them busy while you're traveling. An antler. An antler is going to keep them busy. They're going to chew on it when they feel like it. They're going to take their mind off of it if they're stressed. And it's going to give them tons of minerals, which is really, really good for them. Again, they're under a stressful situation. The more you can do to enhance their system, give them extra immune support, mineral support, it's going to be a good thing. Dogs feel the stress in a car. And I'm going to tell you what happened. This was the funniest thing I've ever seen. We have Cody in between Dale and I on a bed tethered when we travel in our RV. We were in a really stressful situation. I think we might have been having a little bit of harsh words between the two of us because we were in the worst case. I mean, there was traffic and it was awful. And it was 18 different intersections. And my husband's like, which way do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? And it was just like one of those moments. And literally Cody took his paw and put his paw on my shoulder. You know how you do with a kid to hold him? And we started cracking up because Cody felt the stress that was going on in the car. So try to keep the stress levels down. But I immediately gave Cody an antler to chew on so that he could change his mindset and concentrate on chewing this antler. Or you can give him the hemp rope, which is all natural. It's a great thing you can throw when you're out in the woods and have him run and play and fetch it. But again, we owe it to our animals to make the trip good for them. You know, they don't understand where we're going. They don't understand why we're going. They just know they're with us and they love us. But you got to make sure you're taking all of these things into consideration when you're traveling with a pet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I took Peyton and his dad down to Texas, and I made the thing that you mentioned previously was to make sure that you've got something that they can smell familiar. So I took 2 blankets, and then I took 2 fresh ones, and I'm telling you, they just curled right up in the old ones. They made the drive 5.5, 6 hours, and they were just chill. They'd get out. They could, I could let them out next to railroad tracks if you, because that's Texas. You got highway and you got railroad. I'd take them across the railroad tracks, and but they were so good about it, and they were so comfortable during the trip. So when we got there, and I let them get settled, that's when I pulled out the clean ones, and we washed the old ones, and I let them dirty the new ones, and it was a super good trip. And it's so important because Peyton, being born mostly blind, his ultimate sensory is his smell and his taste. And if you've got older dogs, handicapped dogs, blind dogs, all that stuff, that's very, very good advice. And it's tried, tested, and true on my end.
well, and you said something just right now that was really important. You said that you took them out by the railroad tracks. There are, whenever you stop on the road, it is amazing to me at how much glass is in the ground. There's glass everywhere. You've got to be careful. Again, don't just let them go. Don't have them on a 20-foot leash. Watch where they're walking, because there's broken bottles, broken glass everywhere. And you want to make sure that your little pup's not getting hurt while they're on the road. And one thing that I probably should have in my bag, which I don't, is some antiseptic and some wrap in case he does cut himself. And that's something I'm going to add to my bag because of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of 3 to 4 foot leashes, at least for my small dogs, because that's all I have. And when I walk my Peyton's best friend Noelle, the pit bull, that I usually keep her within 3 feet of me just in case.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
walk by your side, keep her out of the way of other people, that kind of stuff. So,
Well, we
but
don't
yeah,
know what
I'd recommend a shorter leash for walking and for going out and go potty. You
it's
get into a
control.
dog park, it's a different story when you get into a dog park. Let them run.
Oh, yeah, exactly. If it's confined, but you also never know what another dog's going to do and how many other dogs are loose. We see that all the time. And aggressive dogs come running up. I have an aggressive dog. He will be fine as long as another dog doesn't run up to him. You have a really friendly dog who's off leash. They come running up to my dog. My dog is going to have a problem with that. And it's not going to be my fault. It's going to be the person's fault who didn't have their dog on some sort of a leash. But something just triggered in my head, and that was the importance of poop bags and having dog poop bags. Sometimes we think when we're on vacation, we're out at the lake, we're in the desert, just let them poop. It's okay. They're in the desert. One of the worst things we can do is leave our dog poop in an area that is normally not inhabited by dogs. If a donkey, if the burros, the goats, the indigenous creatures eat our dog's poop, which they will do, it can make them sick. Their bodies aren't made to absorb the dog foods that our dogs eat and then poop out. It also goes down into the water system, the poop. And if the dog's on medications or any of that. So one of the things you really want to get in the habit of, no matter where you are, pick up your poop. Be a good dog, cat owner. Pick up the dog poop and dispose of it in a plastic bag or something like that. It's really an important thing to do.
Couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about that. They're out in the desert, let them poop.
Yeah. You're right.
You just don't think about it, but it's really, really not good. The roadrunners are running around all over the place. They'll go right for that poop and eat it, and it's really not good for them. So there's a lot of creatures out there that it can harm, and we just have to be aware of that.
Well, it smells intriguing to them, and that's why they taste it and or eat it.
Yeah. Of
And
course, yeah.
I mean, what you can't put it any other way. It's like, hey, what's that?
It's
It's like
something new
you
and
and me
different.
going out for ice cream and like, I haven't never had peanut butter on vanilla ice cream. I'm gonna try that.
Exactly, exactly. Ooh, that sounds good. But yeah, so I just want everybody to be responsible, but I want them to have a good trip, and I want the dog to have a good trip, and the cats. Cats are the same way. A lot of these rules apply to cats. Because a lot of people travel with their cats. It's amazing at how many people travel with their cats. And I've seen people travel with birds and iguanas and snakes. And like I said, we met a woman that travels with her monkeys. And also knowing the laws. There are leash laws in some places. There are laws about what animals can go where. And like the woman that travels with monkeys, she has to stop at every state line and make a phone call to the local agricultural place to let them know she's bringing the monkeys into that state. Food is another thing. If you are traveling with dehydrated food, you can probably get into Canada. If you're traveling with our dog's kibble, you're not going to be able to get into Canada. You're going to have to switch the dog's food. So you want to make sure you know those things before you cross country lines or state lines or things like that.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you
I
can't
love.
take meat of any kind or dog food into Canada.
That is interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So
And
Dyanah, thank you so much.
yay. I hope this was good. I hope it was informative. I know we all care about our babies, so
Super informative.
Yes, it was
We really
very
appreciate your
informative.
time.
yay. Well, anytime I'd love to
Yes.
come
And
back.
I
Maybe
was
we can
wondering, definitely, I was
uh,
wondering if we could get a list of what was in the go bag, and maybe we could put that in the chat so that when people come back to look, then they can have something to refer to.
I will email that to you. Just text me your email and I will email you that list. Great.
Okay, very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much. Emily?
Appreciate your time. Thank you guys.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and
Yes.
leave this.
Okay, Emily, close us out, please.
Oh, and thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Again, we are here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific. And please check out our social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, and so on. And like, comment, share, subscribe. And to thank our partners of Marcus Howard Transform Media, Lawrence Wingate of Wingate Studios, Clayton of the Pack Channel, and the Disability Channel for their support of network and our shows. And I guess till next week, to have a safe and productive week and stay happy.
Stay happy. Keep your
Very
keep your
good.
pets healthy.
And next week,